Hello everyone, welcome to another tutorial from Milan Creative Co. In a previous tutorial, I showed you how to turn hand-drawn lines into seamless patterns. Someone requested a hand-drawn diagonal pattern, so here it is. Diagonal patterns are a bit more advanced, but I'm going to show you a method that will make this seem really easy. I'm going to start with an artboard that's 6 by 6 inches, the same size as my final pattern tile. This will help us create the pattern. I have here a few lines that I drew using markers. I then scanned and digitized the images in Illustrator. The first thing we have to do is make sure the lines are straight. Go to View, Rulers, Show Rulers, or press Ctrl R to open the rulers. Then click on the left side ruler and drag a guide. Now I'm going to move each line above the ruler and make sure that the ruler goes through the center of the line. What I want is for it to go to the center of the top and bottom, even if the rest of the line is not very straight. I think something like this is good. And this line is not very straight, so I think I'm going to delete this and make sure the other ones are straight. The lines that I used for this tutorial look pretty good, so I am going to click on the guide and then go to View, Guides and Clear Guides. Let's arrange the lines on our artboard. Now I'm going to select all of them and right-click on the artboard and go to Transform, Rotate, and I'm going to enter 45 degrees as the angle and then click OK to rotate them. Now I'm just going to spread them out a bit on the artboard. I think I need a larger one here. Now I'm going to recolor each line and I am going to use different colors for them. You don't have to do this, but it will be easier to see the pattern and what happens when we go to the pattern menu. Now select all of them and go to Object, Pattern, Make. As you know, my artboard is 6 by 6 inches and I want my pattern tile to be the same size. So I'm going to enter 6 in the width box and 6 for the height. And if you can enter anything here, just uncheck the size style to art button. Now, when I do that, you can see that it doesn't look very pretty. Some of the lines overlap and it's not exactly what we want. But if we remove some of these lines, this looks much closer to the seamless pattern we want to make. So I'm going to click Cancel to exit the pattern options. As you know, the main rule when we make seamless pattern is that what's on the top has to be continued on the bottom and what's on the left has to be duplicated on the right. And it's clear from this image that that's not happening in my design. As I told you before, diagonal patterns are a bit more advanced than normal patterns, and you often have to create a diagonal pattern tile, but it seems too complicated. So what I like to do is use a square artboard. Then I'm going to delete some of these lines because there are too many. And I'm going to move these lines until they only cover 1/2 of my square. So I'm going to make sure that they don't cross this diagonal line. Let's move them a little bit. So they only intersect 2 sides of my artboard and the other 2 sides are empty. At this point, you can use the manual method to create a pattern or use the pattern tool. So I'm going to select everything and then go to Object, Pattern, Make to open the pattern option. This message will pop up that will let you know that the pattern tile is added to the swatches panel, so click OK to close it. Next, I am going to make sure that my pattern tile is 6 by 6 inches, the same size as my artboard. All I have left to do now is close these gaps and I'm going to have the diagonal line pattern. First, let's dim the copies a little bit. So these are our main lines and we will have to connect them to the other lines. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to select the first line and then change to the blob brush tool. I like to use the blob brush tool to add the missing pieces because it will merge with the existing line, so I will only have one shape instead of many shapes. And just going to click on it and create the rest of the line. If you want your brush to be larger or smaller, just click on the bracket keys. I am going to select the second line, press Shift B to select the blob brush and draw again. They are not perfect right now, but I am going to fix that later. The lines don't look that great right now, especially this one, but I am going to select the line that's on the bottom, and there are a few things you can do to make them look even better. So first, I like to use the delete anchor point tool to delete these points. I think for this one I can use the smooth tool. So first, make sure the line is selected and then click on the smooth tool. You can find it under the sharper tool and just go over the lines. And you can see it will smooth them a bit. So you don't want to use this too much because they still have to keep that hand-drawn look. Let's make the copies 100% and you can see it looks pretty good. Now I'm going to select this one that's really ugly, and again I'm going to press minus on the keyboard to open the delete anchor point tool, and I am going to delete some of these points. I still want to keep that hand-drawn look, but I don't want it to have so many anchor points. So I'm also going to use the smooth tool on this one. I'm going to do the same for the other two, but this one has a missing piece, so for that I'm going to use the direct selection tool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select each anchor point. You might have to double click on them to select them, and then I'm going to move them. I'm going to switch to the selection tool, select it and use the smooth tool. I might take a look at this side. I don't really like how it looks over here. This is better, let's see. Yes, this looks much better. So we have only the last one to fix. Let's change the copies to 100%. I think this looks pretty good, so I'm going to click done to save it. I'm going to create a new layer and hide this layer. Then I'm going to select the pattern, click on the rectangle tool and create a rectangle that's 6 by 6 inches, the same size as my artboard, and then I am going to align it to the artboard. So this pattern tile is a seamless pattern tile, and if you want you can test it. So I'm going to open the move tool by clicking on Ctrl+Shift+M, and I'm going to move it 6 inches horizontal and 0 vertical. Then I'm going to copy it. Then I'm going to select both of them and create a vertical copy, so you can clearly see that it's a seamless pattern. And if you want, you can add a background. So select the color you want, then create a rectangle that's the same size as the pattern tile. Again, align it to the artboard or to your pattern tile if they have different sizes, and then right click on it, go to Arrange and Send to Back. Hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more Photoshop and Illustrator tutorials. Thanks for watching!